Okay, let's get going on this. This is the last assignment for chapter 1. All right, so homework number 7. 4 to negative 1. Remember, in 4 to negative 1, currently as it looks, it's going to look like this. Right? And what we want to do is we want to write it so it's without a negative or zero exponent. Okay, so this one has a negative exponent. So what we do is we're going to write it, and it's still going to be a fraction, but it will go underneath like that. Now, it doesn't mean that the 1's going to flip over. It just means that we just need the 1 is still, okay, the 1 is still sitting down here, okay? But now that with the 4's down there, we don't need it to see. We don't need it to show up anymore. So it needs to be 4, and 4 to the 1, we can write as 4. All we need is just put a 1 on top. That's your answer. Okay, 7 to 0, we already know that one. That's going to equal 1. 5 negative 2, same idea. Okay, and now it looks like this. We're going to rewrite this as 5 to the second on the bottom. And then the 1's still there. Okay, but we don't need the 1 anymore because we have the 5 now, so we don't need to utilize it. And then we need to hold the place at the top, so we need a 1 on top. Okay. And lastly, same thing. This is going to be x negative 2 with a 1 underneath it, and that's going to change it to x to the second, and we need a 1 to hold the place at the top. Okay. Each of these, what do we need in here in order to get the negative 1, right? What is in the x? Okay. So you can just plug in some numbers if you like, but let's say we got 9, right? Or not 9, excuse me, 3, right? So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 7 is positive 2, so that's not good. Okay. So you can do some guessing, checking, and just kind of plugging around, or you can kind of do some solving. So think about this, right? If this says f of x equals negative 1, right? Well, then how about you put negative 1 right here? Okay, so copy that down. Negative 1 equals 3x minus 7. See, if you do it like this, you can now solve it. You can solve for what your x value is. Okay, and I know we haven't officially done the solving yet, but you might have done some at the middle school or some last year, but you're going to do the opposite inverse operation. You're going to get 6 equals 3x divided by 3. And you will end up with x equals 2. That means that your x should equal 2. Okay, and think about it. If you put 6, if you put 2 here, you get 6 minus 7, and that does get you negative 1. So that's your answer. Same thing again. Don't know what that is, but we do know that 10 is the same as f of x. So instead of f of x, we're going to put in 10. So we're going to copy that down. 10 equals square root of 2x minus 6. Right, you're going to go ahead and try to solve that. So by doing this, you will actually need to square both sides. I don't know if you learned this yet, but the squaring is going to cancel out the square root. So the square cancels out the square root, although it doesn't cancel out the 10. So 10 squared is 100. It's 2x minus 6. You're going to go ahead and add 6. So you get 100 plus 6 is 106. That's going to equal 2x. And now you're going to go ahead and divide it by 2. Okay, and we'll do more of this later on in the year. Actually, very soon. And 100, so we get a total answer of x equals, and 2 divided by 6 is 3. 2 divided by 10 is 5. So the answer is 53. Okay. Meaning that if I put 53 right here, I should get. Okay. And check it out. 2 times 53 is 106. Take away 6 is 100. Right? So you get square root of 100, and that gets you 10. So that does work out. Okay. Backside, which the function represents a function, or which the graphs represent function, just use a vertical line test. Right? Take a vertical line, run it across. It doesn't. If it crosses only once, it's a function. If it only crosses at one time, function. If it crosses it more than once, like right here, you can see it. Crosses it once, twice. So this one is not a function. Okay. For each of the above, to do the domain and range. So that first one, since it keeps going to infinity to the left and goes to infinity on the right, we're going to say the domain is from negative infinity to infinity. Okay. The range is what's the lowest it goes. Right? The lowest it goes is -1. What's the highest it goes? It goes to 3. So the range is going to be from negative, sorry, not negative, 1. 1, and it actually touches 1, 2, and it actually touches 3. Okay. This one right here, because it has arrow, that means it's going to keep going to the left, and it has the arrow, which means it's going to keep going to the right. So the domain is negative infinity to infinity. The range, okay, the range, I'm going to use this one. The range, the lowest it goes is
John Priest Gill. Please report to the side of the parking lot.
And the highest it goes
John
is
Priest Gill, please report to the side of the parking lot.
That was funny. It's going to keep going up, which means that it starts at 0 and it actually touches 0 and it goes all the way up to infinity. Okay, and you can't reach infinity. That's why there's no underline underneath infinity. Okay, the last one, the domain. It's going to be, and the domain starts right at -2 and it touches it. So put -2, and then you underline it because it touches it, and it goes all the way to the left, the right, excuse me, which is infinity. So it's going to keep going and going and going, so it goes all the way to infinity. Okay. The range, and because it keeps going this direction, which means it's going to slowly go down, and it keeps going this direction, which means it's going to keep going up. So the range is going to be all the way down at negative infinity, and you can't reach negative infinity, so no underline. It's y, and it's going to go all the way to infinity. All right.